Hello everyone. I hope everyone is doing good today. Everyone had a great lunch. Show a thumbs up. Cool, cool. Welcome to Frappeverse yet again. We have three major agendas for today, and we'll be going over three major talks, and then we'll have flash talks in the end after a short tree break. So I am Pratham. I am your host for the evening. Big shout out to our sponsors. And if you guys haven't checked out community tables and product tables, please do in the food area. So starting without any ado, we have our first talk of the day. How many of you know how Frappe earns revenue? Yeah, anyone? You? Yeah, cloud. I was really hoping you guys knew this answer. So, but that's not the full picture. So this is why we have our business team today who will be telling us about how to make money in open source. And we have our two partners with them, Software at Work and Resilient Tech. So I would like to invite Faraz and team on the stage.
Hi everyone, good afternoon. Um, I hope you're not feeling sleepy after the lunch. My name is Sarfaraz. I'm part of the business and partnerships team. Work very closely with Faraz, Rohit, Neha, and Jonathan, the business team. We work very closely with the partner ecosystem. And today, I'm here to talk about something very interesting, right? So, how do you actually make money by giving your product away for free, right? It's a very common question asked in the open source ecosystem. In fact, even when I was joining or evaluating Frappe for a job, the first thing I asked myself, like, all their products and services are free and open source. That's okay, but how would they pay my salary? So it's a very common question in the entire ecosystem, and we'll talk about it. We'll explore over the next few minutes how exactly we make revenue, what are the different sources of revenue, and how we arrived at this business model. Okay? One second, it's not changing. Board which said free open source software. And while working at Frappe, of course, this caught my attention. And then when I went back to office, I looked them up. I checked their website, and this is what I saw, right? It says Community and Enterprise Edition. And what is the funniest thing about the screenshot? Anybody? Accounting not including. Can you believe that? Like they are offering an ERP solution without accounting. It's like we are selling you a car, but you know what? You'll get the engine with the Enterprise Edition. How does it sound? Funny, right? So, but jokes apart, that's how a lot of software companies nowadays market themselves as open source, but they're not truly open source. This is basically a freemium model like your OTT shows and channels, right? And this is like an open core model, which fundamentally is not wrong. Okay, there are many successful companies who build businesses on this model. But this is where Frappe want to be fundamentally different from. Okay, so we are 100% free and open source. So when we say open source, we mean that no limitations at all. That means all our products, all our services, all our modules are 100% free and open source. This means this is where we also want to distinct ourselves. So with ERP Next, we don't want to give any multiple edition. There is not one ERP Next for user who are using it for free. There isn't another ERP Next for users who are actually paying it. We have one basic module from a small company to a large enterprise. We kept it very simple. And this is the core of the open source philosophy also. So it is the same product, same features, as you can see. And that's a deliberate choice we made. And that's not something which we actually arrived overnight. We took a lot of years arriving at the business model. So we fixed the offering that everything will be free and open source, but we were still struggling to actually create a business model around it. So we tried multiple business models. We tried per user pricing. Then in around 2020, we moved towards a packaged model. Then we also tried and experimented with platform fees. Then per module, like very interesting. I wasn't there at that time, but in hindsight, it sounds very funny. It's like, you want accounting, pay for accounting. You want HR, pay for HR separately. So, I mean, we did try multiple experiments, some funny, some genuine also. And over time, we realized that none of these models really felt right to be associated with the open source philosophy, right? And over time, we realized that we should keep experimenting. If these are not open source, then what actually is open source model? So just to keep it simple, we eventually arrived at that we shouldn't be charging per user. We shouldn't be charging you because you added your 11th user or your 101st user. We shouldn't be charging you for one model and keeping the another model free. We shouldn't decide what module is paid, what module is free. We shouldn't be building for a free version or an enterprise version. But what we also realized is that any business will still need a reliable infrastructure, right? You will need security, you need monitoring, you need updates, you need upgrades, you also need backups, right? And this is the real value which comes with a real cost. And that's where we started to find a model for ourselves. So we agreed that we will keep all our services 100% real and open source. However, we will charge for hosting. So we kept it very simple. You can use our product and services for free. And if you want to host it with us, you can pay for our managed hosting platform called Frappe Cloud. And to talk more about Frappe Cloud, I'd like to call about my colleague, Faraz. Thank you.
Hello everyone, I'm Faraz and part of business team, survived almost from 8 years here. So that was not easy to even come up to a model as Sarfaraz mentioned, during those days. We were as a team kept selling per user and the end user kept us saying, oh dude, you are open source, but why are you charging me for support for per user? We didn't have any other model. The only answers were, okay, if there are more users, eventually our team would require more support. That is how our philosophy were. But we actually did keep us around open source so that our core philosophy is, our fundamentals are open source. We never went to the model or we agreed or sustained on a model where we charged for features or, per module. So per user, and even the industry accepted the ERP as per user or, pay free licenses. That is how the entire ecosystem worked. And then eventually after 2020, Rishabh and Aditya were closely working on a model that, let's have a model, business model around open source. Why not just charge per compute? So this is how Frappe Cloud was born, early 2020, where as sales or as business people, we were still not convinced. We were the ones who were happily, seeing, 100 users, I'll charge you for 100 users. This is your bill. That is what, we wanted to get revenue for Frappe. This is how we thought, our salaries will be paid. And even we were to build a model and have some predictably, okay, what are you closing next? So it was all numbers, right? But then as soon as we hear about this Frappe Cloud and it was just compute, the volume or the deal size reduced significantly. I mean, if I wanted to charge per user, even if I charge 800 or 1,000 for 100 users, the deal value will be more than 10,000. And this landed just 400 rupees for all unlimited users. So it didn't landed well for business. And eventually there were a lot of challenges. But this is where Frappe Cloud help us to build a predictable model so that we know what every month we are expecting. There would be few churns, but this is how Frappe Cloud landed, where it solved a lot of previous problems as well. Earlier we were bundling hosting and, as I said, per user support, where even customers wanted to add a lot of custom apps, where it was everything manual. We used to get a request. So the self-serve thing was quite missing. This problem helped to solve even customers, convenience of customer. So as Frappe, we focused on giving good experience in hosting and building a model around enterprise reliability. So now Frappe Cloud is a multi-cloud model where it gives you convenience, even partners, so that they don't need to concentrate on managing the DevOps activities or even all those hassle of even procuring a server or going for updating a server. There will be new version upgrade coming up. What happened for the backups? All these things are taken care of Frappe Cloud. There is a detailed Frappe Cloud presentation tomorrow for the new upcoming thing. But coming back to compute, where now our pitch was, Mr. Customer, you don't need to pay per user, you just pay me compute. And our website shared this. You can buy 1 hour shared server, 2 hours, 3 hours, 4 hours. We had a really hard time as salespeople in making them understand that this does not mean if you use for 1 hour, then your plan get expired or you are locked out. It doesn't mean that. So initially it was difficult and they didn't understand the language. Per user was still their mechanism, or maybe licenses was still mechanism. They eventually asked us, you are just charging for compute, how much licenses cost we need to pay? Is there any perpetual licenses? So it was, they were not able to understand whether this is the reality of the model or it's just kind of a gimmick when if I come into your cloud, will you charge me extra? So these were some of the challenges that as business team felt, but eventually now we are totally having compute plus having your own virtual machines, where the new V2 is quite a game changer, where entirely Frappe Cloud will be based on virtual machines. More tomorrow, but this is what, it was challenging even initially. Moving forward, this is what Frappe Cloud is at the moment. So Frappe Cloud generates almost 80% of our revenue as of today. As we speak, there are 28K active sites, 15K plus customers, and we have predictable revenue. We also earn profits. So kind of it's a rich company. We don't need to worry about our salaries. So this is how, one of the way that Frappe generates revenue. Now you must be wondering, there are certain customers, or you might be hearing inquiries, governments, where they want to host data on their environment. It could be compliance, it could be, there are laws that might be saying that, if there is a data, it should be in the Indian region, or someone from UAE would say, I need to have my data there itself. Or typical example, governments would only agree for a GCC or a government community cloud, where they need to have the security, they need to have a lock where they keep their servers. All these requirements are coming up. So the second model that we are still continuing is on the enterprise support, where the customers can host data on their environment and still get benefits of Frappe support. Like eventually most important thing is bug fixes. So there was a very interesting story. BMI is one of the largest music right company based out of New York. They give royalties about 22 million artists. It's a quite rich company. They were using self-hosting and they were kind of building ERP Next on their own. So they were migrating from version 15 to 16, and eventually there was some incident, or I would say a bug, where they were not able to migrate properly. And the CTO reached out to our CTO, Ankush, where, hey, I know this is a self-hosting thing, I'm facing issue here in migrating from V15 to 16. There was some setting issue. And of course, as a CTO, he was concerned about security. What happens if I discover, or there is some vulnerability? Whom do I call? Where is the priority? So basically, enterprise support would help or give customer assurance that Frappe or the OEM is there with you to prioritize your fixes, or rather you don't have to wait and go on GitHub and just think where to go to fix this thing. Similarly, GeoFinance, you've been using, they were migrating from 15 to 16. There are a lot of challenges because custom work or because their own dependencies. So these larger customers need assurance and guarantee. Of course, the partner are there to help them on level 1 on the ground, but eventually when it comes to the product, this is where we offer for businesses. Around 10 to 12% of the revenue we get from large enterprises or governments still as of today. Eventually, most of them are convinced to use Frappe Cloud because it's very economical for them, but still there are some customers and we do have this offering. Moving forward, there are a lot of marketplace apps that have been published, like there are 200 plus apps as of today. So when any publisher would publish app, eventually Frappe Cloud is used. So we, as an offer, whenever these apps are used on, let's say, 5 or 10 sites, or maybe they're using on the sites, Frappe would just keep 20% of it, and rest 80% is given to them. And in case even it's a free app, or it's all about free app. In case if there is a paid app, there is also a small monetary mechanism that we offer for our community. Other part, for partners as even customers, they want to get trained, they want to get certified. So Frappe School is also one way that Frappe does the paid training or boot camps or certifications, and this is how Frappe generates revenue. That is also a significant, very small amount, not big as Frappe Cloud, but eventually these are the 4 pillars or base that helps us to generate revenue, and this is how we survive. So this was all about how do we generate revenue, but actually internally how we do it, I would hand over to my colleague Rohit, who would help you to share some insights, what is our sales philosophy all about.
Good afternoon, everyone. So, since now we know how Frappe makes money, I think that a question has been answered already by Faraz. So the next question comes up. So, is there any sales philosophy that Frappe follows? Like, if anybody would have been following Frappe, maybe I just want to put it as an open question. Do we have a sales engine in place, or do we do any sort of a sales? Can anybody maybe just give me any sort of an answer for that? Do you think, as an organization, we do sales? We do? Okay. So our philosophy is not to sell. So we don't sell anything. So as our founder says, if you have got a fantastic product, you don't need to sell anything, or eventually it will reach to the audience that it is supposed to. So ideally, if we are not selling, then what are we doing with the inquiries, or let's say what all requirements that comes to our channel directly from the customers? So what do we do with them? So normally what we do have our partners for that. So partners generally take care of all sort of inquiries that comes to Frappe. So they are basically not just our promoters, the face of Frappe, but also takes care of all sort of requirements, be it small, mid-sized, large enterprises. And they not just provide or take the requirement from them, but they do provide the product demonstration, integration support, custom development support. So all sort of support regarding, or be it any sort of a service that is needed from Frappe, is provided by our Frappe partners. So that's the part which has been covered. Normally the partners do the vouching for us. So at Frappe, what do we do? So let's say any lead which comes to us, any inquiry that comes to us, so we do not sell anything to them, but we try positioning the right solution that is needed by them. So for that, what do we do? So we do have our own team of inside sales. I would not say it is an inside sales, it's more like a team of a product consultants who try educating, understanding the problem, fitting in the right solution, setting up the context, showing the roadmap, and then eventually passing those requirements to the partner with the same ideology which is supposed to be catered to those customers. Not just we have our own channel of making the enrich of our solutioning to the end customers, but we do have the developer experience, which has in past also played a very major role in terms of establishing our requirements in the ecosystem or in general market. So just to name few, you can see some of the logos on the screen: Zerodha, PhysicsWala, Elastic Run, Surveyfy, Iftas. So there is one thing very common in them. We never reached out to them. Their own developers used our products. They tested it out. And they vouched it to their internal stakeholders where they got, they themselves became a promoter for us. And from there, we got a chance to establish our, solutioning to their requirements. And that's how they eventually turn out to be our enterprise customers. So these are just 5 logos which I'm there showing you on the screen right now, but there are other similar set of customers, the enterprise customers who are not just coming directly through our channel, but through their own internal stakeholders promoting and vouching about the solutioning. So that's where we see that the potential is not just about you selling it, but the end users, when they use it and then they test it and then they see that this is something which is really giving them that extra edge to solve the critical, the problems that they're facing in the day-to-day business operations, and that's how they get adapted to it. And along with that, we also give you one very core philosophy, or you can say a USP that we abide by, that is independence. So what does it mean? So any customer, or be it anyone who is a believer of open source softwares, we give them complete freedom. And that's where I think Sarfaraz has already covered, like we don't put any restriction, be it enterprise or be it community. First of all, we don't have any such bifurcation in place. So we give complete freedom to anyone who's using our solution and to use it to an extent where they think that they can, reach to a point which is going to solve the large scale problems for them, even to the problems which is identified or yet to be identified in the long run. So the customers are not actually using our product just because they want to use it, but they see the potential into it, and they realize that they're not getting into some sort of a black box where they are going to get stuck with us because their data is getting, stored with Frappe or for some other reason. They are just using it. They are believing in it because of its flexibility, the extra edge that they get because of the open source being the real open source. So on that note, I would like to welcome one of the key partner, I would say a veteran who had been in the Tally community for quite some time, had been a true promoter of ERP Next now, CA Vikram Seth, who is not just a believer of open source, but also has got a sustainable model from where they are making good money. And I would request CA Vikram Seth to come over the stage and share their experience of sustainable model using open source and how they can excel in the long run.
Good afternoon. Thank you, Rohit. I'll just take a few minutes and share some of my experiences as a partner. So before we start, just one quick poll. How many of you feel that ERP Next being free is an impediment to your, let's say, earnings and growth? Is there anyone who feels so? That it should have been paid, and if it was paid as partners, we would have earned more? So everyone feels that free is better. That's good. So I have a small incident. I met this gentleman who is a senior sales consultant at a competing ERP company, and he knew about ERP Next. And I asked him, ERP Next is free. Your license itself starts at 7-8 lakhs. So how do you compete? So he had a short answer. He's saying, I just tell the customer that ERP Next is free and you will not get support, and that ends the discussion. So can you imagine how easy it is for a competitor to knock you out by just making these two statements? And for the customer, it's free means how do you get support? Right? If a software is free, what can they give you? So this is we can say it's a danger that we are grappling with, and it causes, challenges to the customer's perception. The biggest challenge in software adoption there is an opportunity to actually change that, but there's a lot of work required. Currently, the number of customers who know about ERP Next is also very small. So coming back to the topic at hand, as a partner, there are two modes to earn. One is Frappe Cloud. So if we put a customer, we host a customer on Frappe Cloud, we make a partner margin. And the other is services. So it may be implementation, customization, training, etc. And so I would say services forms the larger part of the earning opportunity. And we have been using that to get these customers up. And customers are not aware that although the software is free, that there is a complete network and a system available to support them. They don't know about that. So they are not able to think in this much depth. And so that is where they, sometimes get deflected. One more quick question. Does anyone feel that an ERP or something like ERP Next can be self-implemented by a customer without help from a partner or a consultant? Is there anyone who believes so? Okay, very few. So my experience has been that because ERP Next is free, a lot of people try it. And we've had cases where, I'm not using this, so it's okay. So there are people who are, someone has a, yeah. So I'll just keep moving this for fun. So there are people who, let's say, have a, someone in the family who's a little technology aware. They will download the software. They will run it for 2-3 months, 4 months, 5 months, and thereafter they have to come to a partner. So that is quite common. I only came across one such company where it was a private limited company. They had hired an intern. With the help of that intern, they had done a complete implementation of ERP Next. They used it for almost a year. And after that, then they wanted some customization. So that's when they came to us as a partner. So in my experience, that is the max I have seen, but I see it as a very commendable thing that, an intern for a year was able to run that company, implement ERP Next for a couple of their departments. So the conclusion is that although the software is free, no business worth its value will spend time and go through this process of trying to self-implement. Ultimately, a partner is required, and that is where, us as a prospective, as current partners, can add value. And I think it's a great opportunity. I'll keep my message short. If there is any question, I can take it either now or later. And if we have seen in India, companies have started with accounting software, right? Their first touch with business software is accounting software. Now, that is mandatory because, you have compliance, you have to raise an invoice, you have to collect money. Without that, you can't really get doing anything. But somehow, surprisingly, even in this 35 years that software has been around, not enough companies have gone beyond, compliance and the basic these things. Because of the issue is this only, fear, uncertainty, doubt. And now that ERP Next is available to customers, who want to progress on this path of technology adoption, it's a great option. As I was telling Rishabh that ERP Next is India's best kept SaaS secret, and virtually no one knows about it. So I think that's what I have to say about this opportunity. Any question, I'll be happy now or later. Yes. Right. So see, anyone who's running a business which is successful would like to spend their time enhancing and expanding their business. For them, this is not a core operation. This is not the core of their skills. And if they were to even try it, they would go down a very dangerous path because they would go into a trial and error scenario. Let us say there is a functionality in Frappe. They will start implementing it, then they will realize that they have made a mistake. They have entered the masters in the wrong way. They would have to probably redo it. So this trial and error is very challenging. If I have a young student or a youngster who has time and who can do it, that's a different thing. But a business wants results in a time-bound manner and with certainty. And when especially the whole business is going to run on one software, it better work. Otherwise, the amount of challenges that they will have because of this disruption will be way more than what they have spent on hiring a consultant or a partner.
Whatever they are saying, it will be chargeable, because those who are non-technical background, they have very hard to figure out if they themselves have not done any iteration with the ERP Next.
Yeah, so see, one way is if there is a certain vertical, if the company is in a certain vertical, and if there is a vertical already available and there is a partner who has already implemented in that vertical, it becomes a safer journey. Let's say I have made a application for chemical manufacturers and I have put it in 50 such companies and you are in the similar space. So then the risk is much lesser. The second risk is customization. Especially in the SME, we do not encourage, at least our philosophy is not to do much customization because SMEs are still grappling with their processes. And when they implement an ERP, they're actually trying to do the software implementation and set the process. Now, these are two very fundamental and important things which, if parallelly happen, there's a challenge. Ideally, you should have a process and then you set the software. So the process we call is like a track. That if you lay a track, then you can run a train on it. If you don't have a track, you shouldn't be, trying to put a train on it. So if there is no process, there is no software, and everything is being done in one shot, that creates a problem. So customization, if there is heavy customization upfront, if I was a customer, I would look at it as a red flag. And we have gone through customers, we have met customers. In 5 minutes of the discussion, the customer said, I do not want any customization. Tell me if you can implement this without any customization. Now, why was he saying that? Because he had gone through the pain of customization and not getting what he wanted. So customization is again very tricky. It may be required, but sometimes it may not be required. And so these are little issues which you have to look at.
So what about those business domains who are the first mover on the ERP Next platform and they don't find channel partners who have implemented successfully in their industry? So how do we evaluate the channel partners?
So see, for us also, we have done about 300 implementations. Now, there must be at least 50, 60 industries. We have so far not gone into very specific verticals. But you know, when we meet a customer, actually we evaluate the customer as much as he's evaluating us. Because if I have to take on a customer whose expectation I cannot meet, and when this word ERP comes into the picture, most customers' expectations go haywire. Because in accounting software, you know, they are very, it's very guarded, it's very fixed. So there's nothing, no expectation. You just get your books of account, you get your, you know, taxation, their returns. But when the word ERP comes, most customers have very unrealistic expectations, and that is the big problem. So one has to kind of be able to handle that part. See, the customer has expectations because now he is gone from accounting to ERP. And this ERP is magic because, I mean, every big organization in the world is on ERP. So, you know, an SME, when he goes for an ERP, he thinks, okay, now I'm, you know, going to be having something, you know, that these big guys have. So that leads to a lot of expectations. And as a partner, it is our job to bring those expectations to reality rather than chasing customers and giving them, you know, unreasonable expectations. So I'm available if anyone has any queries, and I'll pass on to Faraz, Rohit. Thank you so much.
Thank you, sir, for your valuable insight. So we heard how partners can have a model around basically implementation and consulting and build business that is purely services. But there is one more part of it. If someone is not implementing, and he rightly shared, you know, standard implementation or what is as it is will get you, you know, more customers, and he rightly implemented 300 plus customers and going. There's another part of it. If you're not a partner, how can you build a business around open source? So there is an interesting story. I would like to call upon Smith Bora from India Compliance team to take over and share some insights about custom applications and how can he build a business around localization or compliance maybe.
Thank you, Faraz. So I think you guys know India compliance already. But today, it's not about the demo. I will just quickly share the story about how we started all of this, what are the decisions that we made in the process, and how are we earning money out of the product that is built. All of this started somewhere in July 21 with our own problems. We too wanted some of the integrated services. But we found that there are real problems with this. The API that we purchased was costly for the business of our scale. The process of buying this was not standardized. And also, these APIs were not directly accessible to anybody out there. But something really helped us. We were already contributing to ERP Next and Frappe team. And at the same time, we were building something for ourselves too. So somewhere in December 21, ERP Next decided that they wanted to split the apps, and that is where we came in. We proposed we could do this, and we were like, let's build for India, right? The journey we expected was to complete this building of app in about 3 months of time or 4 months of time. This is us posting on forum in about February 22. But it took a lot more time than that. It required a lot of patience because compliance is something which you cannot handle very lightly. It needs to be precise or it could lead to problems. So yeah, it took like more than a year, etc. And the journey we had to do here was very long. So we had to be very patient about building it in the right way. We had two options while we were building. We could build the app which could be integrated to any external service managing compliance like clear tax. Or we could empower the users out there to have the data on their own server and manage compliance then and there. It was very hard for us to choose the second option, but it was in the open source spirits that your data should stay on your server. And so this simplicity for users came at an extra cost for us, which required a lot of plumbing at our side. So yeah, we chose this, and the idea was that we wanted the customers to be gratified by the instant feedback that they get that, say for example, e-invoice is generated instantly in a flip of second, right? So that is something that requires that required a lot of going us back to looking at the architecture that we could have, maybe having what kind of gateway or something like that. We chose AWS there. This process had been very long. It took a lot of time, and the Frappeverse grant helped us here. So that we got more runway to work on this product and place. When it comes to having a gateway, it's not very easy to have trust, reliability, because businesses wouldn't trust you as much. We were new then. We kept everything very simple and straightforward. We made very simple. We don't make any logs or etc. And all the requests going from server to portal were end-to-end encrypted, which led to this last month, 1.8 million requests in a month. Thank you, everybody, for trusting us. This is where I got really wrong. Somewhere in 21, I was expecting about at least 1,000 businesses using this from day one in India, which came at the year 3. But the patience does pay off. So yeah, it's really good there. So where do we get revenue from, actually? The revenue comes from these two domains. It's the API requests and the support that we offer over Frappe Cloud to all the Frappe users, Frappe Cloud users using the site. This helps us, maintain the app, give updates, add more features, etc. For the people who are looking for, even implementation, we also receive leads, which we don't entertain as much because we are not into that segment of business. Honestly, we don't, I was surprised by these numbers. We don't track them. I just compiled them for this presentation, but currently we have about 5,300 sites on Frappe Cloud, 75% revenue growth from Frappe Cloud, and 4,800 commits in just last few years. So this is like completion of 5 years today, this Frappeverse. So the learnings from our journey that I could summarize for somebody building an app is, firstly, solve your own problems. Because if this is a genuine problem that you are facing, maybe many others are facing, and that could help everybody out there. Contribute, because that will give you recognition, and you can build trust based on that. Set simple and honest rules, and keep them. And be patient with this complete process, because it's going to be slow, but it will be steady yet and sustainable over the long run. So, and this is how we like it, honestly. So, yeah, that's all from my side. Thank you.
Hello.
Hello.
Let's have a huge round of applause for all the last speakers. What platform did you guys learn framework from? I am assuming a lot of people here are only business people, but it's fair to ask. What platform did you guys learn framework from? Any answers? Can raise hand. You from blogs, docs, okay. Frappe School. Forum. Okay. I personally learned it from a legendary website called Build with Hussein, and now we have people from Build with Hussein Studio. We have Rahul and Shivam here. I would like to invite them on the stage. Okay, meanwhile the things are happening there, let's have a quick stretch. Let's everyone have a quick stretch. Put your hands up, please. Yeah, great. Thank you for interacting with me.
Hello. Okay. Good afternoon, everyone. So, since you all here, so I assume that you already know that this is a failure story. So yeah, let's just cut straight to the chase. So yeah, it was the day of go live, and we got on a call with the project champion, and it was time to press a button that would turn their legacy system completely off and make our newly developed system live. This system we have been developing for almost an entire year, and it was about time that we tested. So we pressed that button, and we expected a lot of things to happen at that time. One of the major things was the sales orders fetching from Amazon. So we pressed the button, and we saw the sales orders started coming in, and we were really happy to see that. Rahul. So yeah, we were really happy to see that the sales orders started coming in, but there was a problem. A lot of orders started coming in, and that was something terrifying. We were monitoring the situation, and we were expecting some issues like system slowness or load or something as obvious as the edge cases breaking. But what was about to happen, we never saw it coming. And it became the costliest mistake of our career.
Today, hello, am I audible? Okay, I think it's audible now. So yeah, today we are here to tell you what went wrong, why it went wrong, and exactly how we recovered from this. Hi, I am Rahul Agrawal, and together with me is Shivam, who was a consultant in this project. A quick disclaimer before we continue. At the time of this failure, right, it was genuinely not funny. In fact, we were extremely terrified. But now, since a good amount of time has passed, we are able to laugh and joke about it. So, just to set up the context, the client sold FMCG products online. And out of all the online business that they did, 85% of their revenue came from Amazon. And so, they wanted ERP Next integration with Amazon. But why ERP Next? There were many reasons. Out of them, I'll just give you a few. The first one was high licensing fees. Their old legacy system was charging them high licensing fees. Apart from that, it was not even customizable. And the third and the most important thing was they wanted many other different third-party integrations. So they decided it was a better time that they moved. So, yeah. Oh, okay. So this was a reveal. But yeah, there was one thing before this that about all of this project, we were very excited because the client wanted it to be done on-site, and because this client was based off of London, so our London dreams began. So this was the reveal that I wanted to show. Now, the best part about this, as soon as this project was approved, right, we got this message from Jose. He wanted us to come to office to apply for passports, and we did that. We did go to office, we applied for passports, and then we broke this news to our parents. Our parents were happy. Even Shivam's mother said, "Beta, wahan kaise rahega itne din?" My father was happy, and with all of this chaos in our mind and with all of the josh, we applied for passport.
Hello?
Yeah.
So yeah, we were super excited for going to London, and we were doing everything in our power to go to London. Rahul even had to sacrifice 2 years of his hard work just to prove the passport officials that he is the same guy in the documents that he had submitted. So yeah, this was the Rahul that the government officials refused to recognize, so he had to make it look the same. Now, thanks to Rahul's sacrifice, our passports were finally approved. But there was a thing. Our visas got rejected. And the reason the passport official stated was, once we arrive to their country, we won't leave it. Well, quite an irony, right? So there shattered our London dreams. And since everything was agreed, we had to proceed with the remote implementation. Now, the first piece of their project was mapping of the ERP Next with their business operations. We started this with mapping their sales, the orders coming from Amazon to the sales order in ERP Next. Then they picked and packed the stuff, whichever they had in warehouse. So we mapped this in the pick list and packing slip of ERP Next. And finally, the shipping was taken care by the delivery note. This was pretty simple. But halfway through the implementation, we got to know that there is a core Flask API which they have been using to push prices of SKUs to Amazon. And without this, they cannot even think of going live. So we started developing it with
prices. Eventually, we figured out an API for bulk publishing, and then we were able to contain the loss. But let's see what exactly went wrong. Consider this slide, okay? Here, if you see, there is the selling price. Now, selling price consists of three major components. One is the purchase cost, the cost at which you procure the item, margins on top of that purchase cost, and the third is the miscellaneous cost. Now, what happens if your purchase cost itself is zero? If your purchase cost itself is zero, your whole selling price will collapse, and then you will have some prices that you won't be able to sustain. Well, this exactly happened. But what caused the purchase cost to be zero? It was, in simple words, incomplete data import. But was it the only problem? No. This incomplete data import resulted in the purchase cost being zero, which resulted in the low selling prices. Now, combine this with no validations that we had, and this gives you the perfect recipe that cost us close to 5,000 pounds. Yes, this was the amount of money that we lost. We broke this news to Hussein, and all of our minds went blank for the next 40 hours. We couldn't figure out what we were supposed to do. But as you know, right, the show must go on, right? So we came back, as soon as our minds came back, we did an in-depth analysis and a loss analysis, and then these were the things that we came up with. We figured out the problems that we had, and these were the few points that I will be telling you. The first one was the no guardrails. Assume this, if your item is being sold at rupees 10, right, your system should have a way that it will notify you if it goes at least beyond 8 rupees, right, below 8 rupees. So that is something a system should do. The second thing is no snapshot. Suppose if you send incorrect prices, right, there should be some way from which you can revert those prices. We didn't think about it because for us it was just a happy path. What else? We had no visibility. We had to change at least 6 to 7 screens just to figure out why a single price was being blocked. And the most important of all, the canary rollout. The best, not the best, I would say, the oversight in this situation was that we did implement this feature, but because we were working with so many things, it just got out of our set. So this was the things that happened. Now, the things happened, right? The loss was done. We found the root analysis, but what now? It was time to make up for our mistakes. So we did take a step back, and then we started implementing with the features. We implemented features, we implemented validations, and that too, in fact, a lot of them. Let's look into some of them in detail. Remember, I told you about the price validation that we should have. We created a price deviation guard, that if my prices drop below a certain point, I should be notified. What else? We created a Telegram chatbot, that whatever is being happening in my system, I should be notified no matter where I am or what I am doing. Apart from that, what else did we do? We created this dry run. What is this dry run? This is the last stage at which you will check what is the JSON being sent to Amazon, so that you can verify one last time before sending it to Amazon. What else did we do? We created this snapshot that takes a snapshot of your prices every night so that you can revert to it in case of any failure. To consolidate all of this, we created this Amazon Control Center. It was an HTML page which brought together all of these components so that a user does not have to leave a single page. Did we end here? No. We created tests, lot of tests, and apart from that, we created reports. Reports such as this Amazon pricing push readiness. What does it do is, it will tell you what prices are being blocked and what is the reason for it. Apart from that, this stock sync help and a lot more.
Now, with all of these features and validations ready and the mistake very fresh in our mind, now we were ready to make the second go live attempt. And this time we were ready. And we really thought that we will conquer it this time. But did we really conquer it? Was the second time the charm? Well, this was the message that we received from the client 30 minutes into go live. Well, yeah, looking at all of the presentation that we have seen, this seems pretty believable, right? But this was just our intrusive thoughts kicking in and just a small prank that we pulled on Hussein. Well, this was the actual message that we received. So we eventually did succeed. So this time we changed a lot of things, but this time it was not just we went live or just the click of a button. This time we followed a proper process. How we followed the process? First, we made the API pricing live. And how did we do it? So there were 8,000 SKUs, and we published it in the batches of 500. Once we gained the confidence after publishing these 500 items, then we moved to the next set of batch. And similarly, we made all the 8,000 items live. Now, the pricing API was completely live, and we had to move with the ERP go live. So for that, we were running their legacy system and ERP Next both parallelly, so that if anything breaks, we had to fall back or switch back to the legacy system. But this went smooth as well. And now both the important pieces were live. So yeah, credit where it's due. The AI agents. So this is a funny story. So we were 3 months into the development, and at that point of time, there were a lot of projects going on, and we were barely keeping ourselves together. And at that point of time, the client decided to come up with this report to be implemented on ERP. Rahul and me, we were working on this report, and it was almost midnight, and I almost gave up. And at that point of time, Rahul uttered those magical words. So without any hesitation, I just simply gave him my credit card, and I said, do whatever you want to do with it. And thanks to Rahul's prompts, this is the result we achieved within minutes of purchasing the cloud subscription. And happy to share that we are completely live now. And this is just the number of orders that we took from the last night, that 5,000 orders have been processed from the ERP system. Now the timeline. And since Rahul has been token maxing, so you can see we failed in June, the first go live attempt, and it took 9 months for us to do it. And after the failure, within 2 days we were ready again. And within 2 weeks, we made it completely live. So this is the QR and the URL for the Amazon integration that we have done with ERP Next. You can scan and you can check the code out.
Continue. Shyam, continue.
So yes, before concluding, we want you to remember this slide so that whenever you're going live the next time, you just remember us and you follow a complete process for the entire go live.
So, go ahead. One more thing before we end this presentation.
Also, thanks to Hussain. So he was the coolest boss, because when we broke this news, he didn't even say a thing to us. He just said, did you give 100%? So yeah, I think he doesn't know about this, and he also has a talk. Yes.
Yeah. Thank you, guys.
Okay. Thank you. And any questions?
You are not from Mumbai. Oh, wow. Well, I'm also not from Mumbai, by the way. I'm from Delhi. Any people from Delhi here? Hello. Before moving on, let's guess the next speaker. I have a hint that they won the Best Partner Award in India region this year. Any guesses? Any guesses again? Well, even if you guess, there was no prize for that. We will have Indic Trans upcoming next. Cool. So let's invite people from Indic Trans here.
Okay, so good afternoon, everyone. I'm Shudhanshu Badole, Senior Software Developer at Inductrans. And along with me, I have Abhishek, Director of Sales, and Taranit as Implementation Engineer. And we are here to showcase another implementation story for a retail business. So someone say retail, we usually imagine a supermarket, a chain of store, or an e-commerce business. And that's exactly what we thought when we first got an inquiry. But as we understand their business, it completely changed. It wasn't just a retail, it was more than a retail. So let's understand more about the client. So Royal Voice One Retailers is a Philippine-based multi-chain retailer. They have this, they operate a store called Joe's Place, and they run on this modern concept grocerant, which means half grocery store and half restaurant. And all of this is within one organization. Now imagine walking into one of their location where people are buying some groceries, ordering some meals from the made-in kitchen, and purchasing some products built in-house. Now, imagine running all of these businesses under one ERP system. So that was the challenge we were facing. So Royal Voice One retailers have two locations. They have more than 100 users. They have 13,000 SKUs. And they process more than 1,200 sales transactions every single day. The inventory is valued around more than 100 million paisa in inventory, and their product continuously moves from purchasing, manufacturing, kitchen, restaurants, and retail shelves. It wasn't a simple retail business. This was a business where retail, manufacturing, food production, finance, all have to work together seamlessly. As the company continued to grow, their existing ERP started showing some limitations. Different business functions couldn't be managed efficiently. Inventory movement wasn't always visible in real time. Post-transaction required manual reconciliation, and management lacked the real-time visibility. They needed more than a software upgrade. They needed a platform capable of supporting the way their business actually operates. And that's when they chose ERP Next. ERP Next for its seamless integrations, for its simple customizations, and its amazing features in manufacturing and features. While implementing this retail business for the Royal Voice One retailers, we faced so many challenges. We faced challenges while implementation. We solved those challenges, and we made our custom solutions. So to talk more about this customization for the implementation part, I would like to call Taranit.
Thank you, Sudhanshu. So let's begin with thinking about the challenges. So I'll ask you a simple question first, and then we can begin. What happens when a customer walks into a retail store? Goes to the cashier, pays it. That's what your answer is. But it is very simple. In this simple transaction, actually what happens, things from a business perspective. This simple transaction has to go through multiple systems, affect inventory, affect finance, affect also compliances, and also sometimes the type of the customer it is. On surface, everything looks normal, but beneath that, there was a problem. The system was running as one company, but the systems was not behaving like one company. So the biggest challenge of any retail industry is sales. Imagine a customer walking to the retail stores, buys the product and goes to the cashier. The POS machine is able to generate the invoice, but local ERP is not able to match inventory over there. Whereas if a manager wants to see the invoicing and transaction happening in the cloud, they were not able to meet that because POS, local ERP and cloud ERP was not able to integrate in one thing. One transactions, 3 different environments and one business source of truth. So what we did is we integrated this POS machine with the local ERP and then synchronized with the cloud ERP and made a central sales invoice. One transaction, one business record. Now the problem changed. This was not the cashier. This time it was chef. So a chef was making a meal. What do you think that they does? The chef doesn't open an ERP and check whether the stock ledger is having the inventory or not. It directly goes to the kitchen, takes the ingredients, prepares the meals. That's all. On the other hand, the same transaction is happening at the same point of time. In this, 2 transactions are happening at the same level. Physical consumption of ingredients are happening, and next, sales is happening in the other end. So if you think we open a ERP and check whether the stock ledger is having the ingredients or raw material with us or not. The ERP says we don't have the inventory, but the business says I recently sold that transaction. The traditional ERP rule is no stock, no transaction, but this does not apply in the case of any retail business. So what we did is we made control negative stock. What happens over here is we allow transaction to pass even if the stock was not available for us. We did ERP reconciliation in night automatically a stock entry passes of manufacturing and negative stock is reconciled into a positive one. We made the business understand. Don't stop the business, but don't forget the accounting either. So we think that all the challenges were complete, but not. We were wrong. Operations were working properly, systems were integrated, invoicings were generated, inventory was proper. But the new problem came is compliances. We forgot the compliances part. And this was not Indian compliances, they were Philippines compliances. We had to include VAT, EWT, that is expanded withhold tax, and also BIR invoicing in a single system. First, we had to make the system understand these terminologies and made applicable transactions and compliances in single transaction. It doesn't mean the transaction is complete. We made the system understand what is VAT, on which conditions and compliances VAT has to be included, what are the criteria, what are the percentage of VAT. We made them understand EWT and also BRR invoicing. Invoicing is very complicated and important in any business understanding. Next comes, we think all were included. The customer comes in and then we had system ready for us, invoicing was proper, inventory was proper. But then once a bill is generated, the customer says, hey, I'm a senior citizen, I should get a discount. We forgot the discounting part. And it was not only about senior citizen, a single type of customer, it was PWD. What happened if the customer is a diplomatic? What happened if it's a concessional operation? These are not only business terminologies, they are actual business logics that has to be incorporated and known by the system to have proper discounting and exemptions. We made the system understand separate types of customers and place a logic that works behind once we select the type of customers. One business, multiple rules, one correct sales. What we actually built it. For any ERP implementation, we think that once a system is ready, it is only moving from old system to a new system. Technically it is, but not completely. What it actually does is transfers the information from one pattern to another, from one machine to another machine. That is from one stores to POS, then to inventory, to finance, to compliances, and then revert back directly to the customer. One business, one flow, one source of truth. The realization that we had, we first thought there were 4 separate problems happening in individual levels, but we were wrong. Actually, all the problems were integrated with one single transaction. POS was the first problem, inventory was the second problem, compliances was the third problem, and customer type was the fourth problem. So we need to address all the 4 problems to have one correct sales transactions. This is the place where we actually saw the transaction happening end to end. This is our team. I don't think, personally, I don't think that any ERP implementation is successful once the system is go live. I actually think when it is successful, when the client and the customer is able to use it. Unless and until the customer walks into a retail store at 7:30 p.m. in the evening, the cashier should know the customer is here. The business should know the transaction is happening. The inventory should know. The finance should know. And the management can rely on this particular transaction in the system. That was a motto for an implementation in a Philippines-based retail industry. To carry on this further presentation, I would like to call Abhishek. Thank you.
Thanks, Taranit. Thanks, Sudhanshu. So Royal Voice One was an implementation project for us. We started doing everything right there. We started with understanding the client's business, documenting and designing the processes, implementing standard ERP wherever we could, and customizing when it was absolutely required. And the most important part was we involved users right from the beginning in the project. These are not just the best practices. After doing more than 400 plus implementations, we have realized that how important these principles are in success of any implementation. But what happens when ERP is implemented without understanding client's business? The system might get live, but slowly problems accumulate. And one fine day, business says that we don't believe in ERP. That's the story of Quest Retail I would like to share with you today. Before I proceed, let me tell you something personal. Exactly a year ago, I was sitting somewhere in the audience. I was talking to Frappe team members, interacting with partners, exploring the product, and trying to understand what makes this ecosystem so special. During that time, I met Kanhaiya and Gupteshwar, founders of IndicTrans, for the very first time. We saw some synergy. Later on, we were in touch for a couple of months, and eventually we decided to partner in. So, looking back today, I realized that my journey with Frappe, ERP Next, and IndicTrans started right here at Frappeverse. Well, mine wasn't the only journey that started here. It was Frappeverse of 2024, when our team met Quest Retail for the very first time. They had just implemented ERP Next. Just like any other implementation, they were dealing with post-implementation challenges of stabilizing the system. That's quite common, right? We all have seen that. Well, we stayed in touch with them for next 1 year, and we met them again in Frappeverse 2025. This time, their problems have escalated, and they were looking out for a reliable partner who could not only help them in stabilizing the system, but also help them regain trust in the system. Let me introduce Quest Retail to you. Quest Retail is India's leading specialty retailer and brand partner, helping global brands in lifestyle and beauty products to establish and grow their presence in India. Over the last 2 decades, they have grown brands through retail, e-commerce, distribution, and customer experience. Today, they operate more than 250 stores globally, employing more than 1,500 people, and partnering with brands like Avon and The Body Shop. For the business of this size, ERP isn't just another software. It is the lifeline of business. It is a single source of truth that everybody trusts. But what happens when people stop trusting this single source of truth? People create their own versions in the form of spreadsheet, WhatsApp group, manual reconciliation, and numerous workarounds. And that's when ERP stops being the system which runs the business and turns out to be any other IT application. How many of you have heard this? Clients saying that ERP is not working for us. I'm sure a lot of partners have heard this. But have you ever wondered what do customers mean when they say ERP is not working for us? Do they mean the ERP as in the software, the code is not working? Or do they mean that they have lost trust in the software? These are two different things. And that's what Quest Retail taught us. Let me explain with an example. Imagine it's 11 a.m. Everything looks fine until you get a call from one of your stores. The store manager says that there's a long queue of customer standing in front of him and he's not able to generate invoices. From the store manager's perspective, it is a billing issue. But from the customer's perspective, it is a bad shopping experience. After some time, you get another call, this time from the stores. The store manager says that he can see products on the shelves, but for some of those products, the inventory is appearing as zero in the ERP system. Imagine standing in warehouse, staring at cartons full of products, and your ERP confidently says that those products don't exist. Not only that, the auto-replenishment workflow starts creating fresh requisitions. Everybody is reacting to what the system is saying. So from the store's perspective, the issue is inventory. Then comes delivery operations. Products move from stores to warehouses, but the system is not consistently tracking the right batches. Imagine in cosmetics where products have different manufacturing dates, which product should move out first? Obviously the one which are going to expire first, else we'll have an issue with aging inventory. So from delivery operations perspective, the issue was inability to track the right batches. And finally comes finance. Customers have made payments, payments are reflecting in my bank account, but yet finance is spending hours in doing manual reconciliation. Not only that, the finance department is also making manual inventory adjustments of 10 to 15 lakhs every month. Management looks at all this and concludes that ERP is not working. So that was the problem with Quest Retail. Owing to issues like reconciliation, inventory mismatch, the business has lost trust in the software. Now let me take you to the recovery journey. As told earlier, this wasn't a typical implementation project for us. It was a recovery project. Implementation was done by somebody else. But owing to system issues, the business had lost trust in the software and they were not looking at it as a single source of truth. The main objective for us was not only to stabilize the system, but also to restore the integrity of data and most importantly, rebuild the confidence back in the ERP next system. Well, the team could have started the recovery project by fixing each problem individually. They could have deployed patches, added custom fields, created new doc types, or made code changes wherever the problem appeared. This could have solved the problem for a time being, but there was no assurance that some other similar problem would reappear again at later point of time. So instead of rushing to solve the problem, the team took a different approach. They asked a simple question: what if these are not different problems, but different symptoms of some bigger problem? So instead of fixing the software, they started understanding the business. Missing invoices, incorrect inventory, valuation mismatch, payment reconciliation are all symptoms. The main question is, what is causing them? So instead of solving the problem, the team started with understanding the business, asking right questions. Questions like, how does inventory move from stores to warehouses? How does finance close the book? How does a typical customer order pass through the business? Only when they had answers to these questions, they started recovery by analyzing historical transactions. Not to check errors, but to see how errors crept into the system. The team didn't believe on the documented processes. They sat with the business and tried to understand how business actually operated. Every change was introduced carefully. Every deployment was monitored. Every improvement was measured. And we ensured that the customer is a part of the entire recovery journey. And here's the interesting part, the recovery time. 900 hours. Think of this number for a moment. 900 consulting hours were spent on a business, or rather recovering a ERP next system which was already live. 149 missing transactions were restored, 36,000 historical stock ledger entries were recalculated. Inventory was synchronized, valuation was corrected. These are impressive numbers. But I would say this is not the real success. The real success is that the business started trusting its ERP again. And the credit goes to the team. They didn't rush to solve the problem. They started with understanding and asking the right questions. And that is one of the biggest learning for all of us. The success of any implementation is directly proportional to the quality of questions we ask before implementation. That brings me to the end of my presentation. Before I conclude, let me ask one question. As implementation partners, what do customers buy from us? As a director of sales, I spend a lot of time interacting with customers and business leaders who are navigating change through digital transformation. And I've realized one thing. Customers don't buy ERP from us. Customers buy trust. Trust that they can serve their customers without interruptions. Confidence that their inventory is right. Confidence that they can make decisions based on fact. And this confidence is not delivered at Go Live. In fact, it is delivered way before even the first line of code is written. It is delivered during discovery. It is delivered during the efforts that we spend in understanding clients' business. Sometimes as implementation partners, we are so focused on winning projects that we rush to estimate before we understand. And the day we underestimate the efforts required to understand clients' business is the day we assume that implementations will be easy. These assumptions create gaps. Gap creates pressure. Pressure leads to shortcut, and shortcut leads to frustration. And eventually, when implementation fails, customers don't remember who implemented it for them. They simply say one line, ERP Next didn't work for us. And when that happens, we all lose. Customer loses confidence, partner loses credibility, and we as an ecosystem lose an opportunity to create one more success story. And that brings me to where I started, Frappeverse and the power of this ecosystem. Frappeverse isn't just a place where new products are featured. It is a place where customers meet partners, partners learn from each other, ideas become implementation, and implementations become success stories. And success stories like Quest Retail not only transforms one business, it gives opportunity to another business which wants to start their business and experience with ERP Next. Thank you.
Thanks again, Indic Trans. Let's have another round of applause for them. We'll be taking a short tea break. We'll meet here again at 5 for Flash Talks. See you guys at 5.
The derivation of Frappe is framework plus apps.
Open source has been the
One, two. Hello. Hello, hello, yeah. Hi, we are having flash talks and we have the first talk of today. It's called HUF, which is a Frappe alternative to Claude.
Hello. Hello. So how many of you have heard of Huff before? Okay, few hands. Yeah, so there is one reason we are here in this Frappe conference, and that probably is because of certain decisions we took maybe few months ago, few years ago, depending on different people. Like I made that decision probably 5 years ago, and that decision would have been multiple reasons for different people. For some it could have been cost, for some it could have been privacy, for some it could have been control. But in short, we are in an event of Frappe, which is an open source tool, which has built a powerful ERP, which is again open source. And one of the core functionality or core USP of ERP Next is that it's self-hostable, where your data can be on your own server, it's open source, and you retain the control. So you don't have vendor lock-in, you don't have the problem of being attached to one vendor and all those things, right? So that comes with the freedom. But suddenly, even though you have that principle, even though you have decided your data should not leave your server, even though you have prioritized the privacy of your customers, your finance, something else is going on in every office, irrespective of your policy. Every day morning, someone comes to the office, starts their work, opens a Chrome tab and pastes the customer data into ChatGPT for an email. They paste the financial data into Cloud for generating a report. So on one hand, you are protecting your privacy, you are trying to keep the data in-house, you're trying things not to go. And then there are offices which has blocked these IPs. Then they picks up their personal phone, right? And then they use ChatGPT in the personal account. So one thing that we know for a fact, everyone is doing it, everyone is using it. Some or the other way, the data is leaking. So, and if you even come at the cost as a principle, even if cost is a factor that's going to be a problem for you, even in that angle, there are no much options where you could actually deploy yourself the AI when it comes to ERP Next itself, right? No easy way to do it. But there are different ways where people are doing. That is the big why of why we started building Huff. So back, Huff development started around 1.5 years back. We have done a talk here before called Agent Flow, which is more or less similar to what Frappe is building right now called Flow, which was basically multi-model integration into ERP Next. And from that, we moved on to something more. When we started building, we understood there are more to this. There are more layers that has to build, and it was getting more and more complex. So basically, Huff is three things. Huff is a workspace, a colleague, a platform. So on one side, it's a workspace like the cloud for work and all those things where you can have multiple people working, multiple agents working and all those stuff. And on another side, it is something that can do a lot of stuff for you. You can have agents that can answer questions for you from your reports. There can be agents that can answer questions for you from your inventory, from your sales, or there can be agent that can actually talk to the customers. There can be agents that's accessed through WhatsApp. There can be agent that's accessed through Slack, right? So on one side, it's like a colleague that does your work. It can also remember things, like an agent can be something that does the work every day. An agent that create a report every week, or an agent that can actually send a daily report from a restaurant, what's going on, or compare it with today's sales with the last week's sales, right? And finally, it is also an infrastructure for other apps. Imagine you're building a CRM or you're building some product on top of Frappe and you need AI. You need agents, you need knowledge, you need vector database. You need an ability to control cost. You want to have visibility into the token burns. You want to compare prompts against different providers. That is the third layer, where it stays as an infrastructure behind the product. And on one side, Huff itself is an independent app. So a company which has complex knowledge, which needs data to be searchable and people need to ask questions to that data. Imagine you are an airlines company. You have a lot of spare parts and it's very hard to onboard people. And you have a lot of PDFs and manuals about it. But you cannot upload this to ChatGPT because it's private data or there is certain NDA you have signed with them. Huff, you can directly use it where you can upload all this to Huff. You can use Huff Chat and you can run this privately. So as it is, Huff can be an independent app. In another sense, Huff can also be an app that supports other apps, right? So because it's a Frappe app, it can connect into Frappe CRM, it can connect to ERP Next, it can connect to Frappe HRMS. So in that sense, it's also something that is part in the Frappe ecosystem itself. And then it has all kind of integration into standard tools like ERP Next, HR, CRM, and also to external tools like Gmail, Slack, Telegram, WhatsApp, all out of the box. So finally, we'll just see a few things. So Hub has different components. It's in beta 1 now. Today we are releasing beta 2. Hub comes as a platform on the cloud, which has its own chat interface and configuration, same like the OpenAI Playground and console for cloud. On the other end, Hub also has a desktop application, which is more or less the chat interface alone as a desktop app. So we'll see both. I think we'll start with the chat client first, which connects to Hub. So this is the chat client of Hub. And I am going to run a local model on the laptop, Gemma 31B. And so it is a MacBook. So this is now running, connecting to Hub backend, Frappe on my Docker. And the inference is coming from there. So this is more or less, someone asked me, isn't this cloud code? So it's like more or less cloud code itself. Like that was the reference. We wanted something usable to connect to Hub when you are connecting to a cloud Hub and use it. The only difference here is it's multi-agent. So all the agents that you have created in, it's not visible to you, but these are Gamma agents. Below what you're seeing is, so you will have the, this is Google Gemini models. So like that, you can have all your agents, and each agent can have its own tools. Each agent can have its own prompts. It can have its own skills and knowledge. Everything configured in the backend, and it will only come here if you have allowed it. So, because this is built for work, it's not like OpenClaw where it's open for everyone. It will only come if my user has an agent added to my user. If that tool is accessible to me, if I have access to accounts, only then these agents will load here. And here we also have support for artifacts. It can generate documents. You have the ability to pin chats. You have the ability to create projects and group them. So more or less, this is something I don't have to explain. It's how cloud work, this works. Only difference is you can switch, mix and match models. You can mix and match agents. You can have different system prompts. And you can have some employees who's only allowed to use DeepSeek. You can have some employees who can access Opus. So you can have this kind of cost controls and history. And finally, all the data remains inside your Frappe application itself. And going back to the products itself, yeah, so this is the main homepage of Hub. I'm not going to use this here. Right now, I'll just go through the primitives. So here you could actually ask for it to create doc types, or you can ask it to say like, I need a tracker for my ideas and I need some status, and it will generate the doc type, create the agent, create the prompt, and create a chat agent which can then work on the top of that, right? But we will go more deeper into what we already have. So this is the chat you saw in the desktop app. You have a chat here as well. And this is the agent doc type itself, the main agent. And in this main agent, it is where all the magic happens, all the controls and all the things that happens, right? Are you going to use text and voice, or do you want, screen is very hard to see, right? Then what is the name of the agent? Which provider are you connecting to? Which model? And then you can choose either a local prompt, and you can type the prompt here, or you can use a prompt template. So when it comes to a prompt template, you can have multiple versions of prompts. You can pin a prompt. Time's up? Or 2 more minutes? Okay. So I'll just quickly jump to so this is one example of how, 1 second. So I think the first step was missed here. So if anyone has used OpenClaw, if you have WhatsApp connection or Telegram connection happens similarly. It generates a pairing code, you put the pairing code, and then it gets connected to whichever agent you have connected. And after that, you can actually start chatting with the agent, as simple as that. Whatever you create goes in the same sense. Same thing happens for Slack. There's a pairing method for Slack as well. Then just show some direct connection to ERPNX itself. So here the user has asked who owes me money. So it used a tool calling, and it went and brought the information from ERPNX. Now the best part, I think everyone has already done these kind of things with Frappe itself, right? I mean, with most of the cloud integration or MCP integration. One advantage here is like how easy it is to add that. If you go to the add tools menu, I have a local model running, yeah. So it gives you all the options, including Frappe Cloud. So if you have added your Frappe Cloud token, you can just chat and ask what are the sites active, take a backup of a site, create a new site, take copy of one site and create new site. So this is not officially supported by Frappe Cloud yet. We have just taken out press APIs and some archives and all those things, but we'll try to see what is allowed and what is not allowed and align with them. Similarly, you have all standard help desk, Frappe CRM, ERP inventory, ERP, all these tools are there out of the box. And you can also build your custom tools by just going here and choosing what operation you want to do, what doc type, and you can see the query that will go, you can do a test call, and you can add that to an agent. And I'm just wrapping it up, my time's up. So it also supports 6 vector databases. You have PG vector, you have Redis, you have Chroma, you have SQLite vector, you have ZWork vector, and more vector DBs are coming. It supports skills. It supports 2 more things. It has a learning system, so you can tell the agent how to learn, what to capture, what to learn from that. Like if it's a student onboarding thing, you can tell them like you should learn about the student and their preferences. If it's a meal planning, what is it non-veg, veg, what is their meal preferences? And the learning can then be auto-promoted to be a knowledge later. So that kind of pipelines already exist in the system. And finally, we also have a flow interface, which is in beta. Not very stable right now. We have put experimental badge on everything that is not tested, fully tested. So I think I will conclude my talk. The session is not there. Okay. So finally, we have one app that uses this. We are also launching Uri version 3. So Uri version 3 is Uri is again a Frappe incubated project. It's a restaurant management system for restaurants, large restaurants. And the latest version has been released today in beta. And it has all the reports, 14 plus reports, very advanced reporting per branch, per item, per pricing thing. I'm not going into detail of that. So here is an example of Huff working in a different app. So here you have the AI here, and it doesn't even have to go to Huff. People who are using Uri can just configure their agent from here itself. So Huff comes with those kind of APIs. Other apps can use Huff in the backend without even letting the customer know Huff exists behind it. So they can put their API key, everything from your own app. It can pass all the models, and Huff will just run the inferences and everything for you. Yeah, I think that's it. Time's up, right? Thank you.
Hello. Next in Flash Talks, we have structured network for telecommunications and healthcare. Is the team here? Yeah.
Hi everyone, good evening. I hope you have had a good session today and it was all very informative. I'm Pratham Advani and I am from Zuneco Labs, and we are here to present something related to achieving to the last mile of healthcare, which we have worked on. We have Siddharth from our client team, and for whom we have done this project. I will let him explain about his company and who they are in detail.
Hi everyone, I'm Siddharth from MSWAS. So MSWAS is a B2B2C company which has scaled from 0 to 400 crores in last 5 years, and they provide teleconsultation to rural people in tier 3 and tier 4 cities. So they basically partner with insurance partners, and against the policies which they give to people, they provide teleconsultation and free medicines against a certain amount. Now, since they scaled so fast in the last 5 years, gradually, genuinely, they needed so many people to, sustain their business. Now, at some point when they were doing around 15 to 20,000 consultations a day, they realized they needed a good system to sustain that. Now, all this consultation process was being handled on WhatsApp right now, and they had around 1,000 people to manage this consultation workflow. There were 200 to 300 agents, as we call them. They were just there to just pass on cases to the doctors and the pharmacists. Now, this was becoming a very big headache for people, for the company, since they wanted to reach a target of 20 to 30,000 consultations per day eventually. Now, that's when we got in touch with Zuneco Labs, and they proposed us a solution how they can, automate the process and reduce that manual barrier and eliminate a lot of inefficiencies. So there were a couple of inefficiencies, if I can talk about, there was a lot of manual labor involved. There were doctors who were hiding behind the scenes, treating it as a work from home, and they, not being available for the patient care. Now, this is all good and okay when you're doing normal serving other industries, but in healthcare, someone's life is at stake, so you need continuous tracking of where your doctor is and where your pharmacist is. Now I'll let Pratham explain further how he managed to implement the solution at MSwast.
From today morning, we have heard a lot of people talk about the capabilities of ERP Next, and without any doubt, it's probably one of the best open source networks in the world. But there's not much people who've spoken about how good the Frappe framework actually is. Like ERP Next is actually powered by the Frappe framework. So when this problem came to us, sorry, I'll just go behind. When this problem came to us, wherein there were 200 patients, WhatsApp groups involved, nothing of this sounds like ERP Next, does it? So definitely that was our next thing, that yeah, ERP Next cannot be something that can solve this problem. But there was definitely one thing that could solve this problem, was the Frappe framework. Then we decided to go for the Frappe framework, and we decided not to just build a simple automation around WhatsApp and be like the WhatsApp messages can be turned into Google Meet links or whatever. We decided to go a mile ahead and digitize the whole process of that clinic. And what we did essentially was, in this 2,500 clinics that are present all across India, we built a teleconsultation module in which the nurses, as soon as a customer comes in, could open a EMR case, write about the patient, actually take in the inputs from the patient on basis of what is their language, what region are they coming from, and what is the problem they are coming here from. And from there, the nurse could actually escalate this issue rather through an agent directly to a doctor. And now doctors had their own Google Meet waiting rooms similar to a clinic, and the patient was actually waiting in the lobby for the doctor to let them enter. And as soon as the doctor entered the room, he would actually understand the problem. Now comes another part. What happens to the medicines that are being prescribed by the doctor? We are talking about tier 3, maybe tier 4 cities as well here. So you cannot rely on even the nurse sitting in the clinic to give in medicines out there. There was another flow wherein the doctor could, after the consultation, including their transcripts and everything, send it back to the pharmacist, who would then get on a consultation room with the nurse, where the nurse would actually show them the medicine, validate the expiry of the medicine, is it the correct medicine that is being given or not, and then prescribe it to the patient. All of this done on the teleconsultation module, which had 0 agents involved right now. I would have loved to show it to you, but we are not able to show it to you today. But we could actually see how people are joining the room and actually being treated over there. Now the second, after this was delivered, now currently to date, we treat more, on this platform, there is more than 12,000 patients that are being treated every day without any agents being involved, and all is happening through the Frappe framework. That is the day I realized that the Frappe framework can actually do a lot of heavy lifting. We're talking about 10,000 to 12,000 cases transferred here and there, actually audited, the doctors actually being transcripted, and all securely done on the Frappe framework. Now the second thing that came to us was, okay, the problem is now solved. The consultations are happening properly. What happens to the medicines? There was a problem of medicine inventory tracking. Who is delivering the medicine? Who is actually requesting the medicine? Are these medicines actually being delivered properly? Are they actually being stored properly? We again built the whole medicine inventory module on Frappe, wherein all the 2,500 clinics, medicines, approvals, request, requisition, purchase order, everything, every heavy lifting is happening through the portal completely without any hindrance, wherein there were 200 agents actually required to do all of it in one way. Sorry? Yeah. So I'll just hand over it to Siddharth if he has any few, because Siddharth was the guy from the client team who was also involved in the project very heavily, who has also been able to put in a lot of inputs on this project. So I'll let him speak a few words about the project.
So currently, right now, we have removed all the 200 agents from this complete process. And if you can go back to the hierarchy part as well. Yeah. So if you see these zonal heads and doctor managers, they were solely involved in just managing those doctors. These are actual doctors who can be utilized for your consultation processes and treating the patients. But their jobs had been redefined to just managing people and locating where your doctor is. Right now, there were 50 people 50 doctors which are actually utilized to treat your patients. And while this was happening, we have reduced from 250 doctors to 150 doctors, which are now able to serve 20,000 cases per day at this present moment. We're open for questions if you have any.
We have time left, so we are open for questions if there's any. That's perfect. And one last shout out to our team who was.
You mentioned that you did not use ERP Next, right?
Yeah.
So you built the whole this inventory module on Frappe framework?
Yeah, the whole thing was
so
built
without
on
any.
There is no ERP Next app installed at all.
But you could have used existing one, right?
Um,
Because it had all the batch, serial number, and all the things that are required, ledger, reports, everything.
The inventory process over here is being implemented in a rural area. So the general process which you're thinking about, QR enabling, QR codes and everything, this is not involved. We had to make a complete scratch module where a nurse, a plain person who is not that tech savvy, can request just by clicking 2 buttons. She just has to enter one amount, the quantity, and she can just submit that request, and that is routed through the whole system. So that didn't require ERP Next at all. It had to be customly designed.
Okay, fine. So, but it's actually, if you have explored it, it's a really, it's built very well, the inventory module, including this barcode generation and everything. So could have been used as what I think. It's fine.
Yeah.
If you've built it, it's fine.
I know 100%. We have used inventory module in other projects. In this, the complexity was not that high. It was simpler than what was the complexity there in, I would say, in the easiest terms if possible. That's why we thought that it's better to build it on the whole framework and just. Any other questions? Thank you so much. Thank you to the Frappe team for building this, and thank you for having us here today. Thank you so much.
Next, we have Satvik talking about his open source journey.
Hello everyone. Let me introduce myself. I am Satvik. I have recently completed my graduation from Geetham University. I just want to share regarding my journey with Frappe framework. This is my open source journey, and I will be giving some insights, and I will be giving you how to grow in a community where I followed and I growed. Let me introduce. I am Satvik. I am also a certified Frappe developer. And in this, I'm going to share you what are the rollbacks, what are the tools I have used to learn Frappe framework, and how I contributed to some issues in the framework and some modules which Frappe develops. And I just want to share my initiating the journey. The great journeys always start with small mail or small initiative. I have started my journey with a cold email. When I was in the 3rd year, I was very much interested regarding to do any technical work, to have a good project, I have emailed one of the founder. He's also a Frappe partner, and he given me the opportunity to learn Frappe framework, and I learned there in my summer internship, and I worked there for their internal module for their HRMS, and that was my starting point. And yeah, while learning, I have faced some technical rollbacks. One of us, Frappe uses MVC algorithm, and it has a complex custom workflows. And I come from technology background. I doesn't know any business, where as a ERP Next developer, I should learn a lot of businesses which ERP Next has. So I concentrated well, so that I could also improve my technical knowledge. And the solution toolkit where I used is Frappe School and the Frappe Forum. Frappe School, it's completely open source, same like how the code is open source, and where you can find a lot of courses in it, and you can go through it, and you can watch it free, and you can also learn it free. And the Frappe Forum is one of the best forum I have seen, where if you raise an issue, you can get a solution from Frappe community or from Frappe team, where while raising those questions, while getting answers from there, you can learn a lot of things from there. Yeah, and one of the impact of the mentorship, like I was also a new when I come from, like I also don't know, like when I was using Frappe community, Frappe school, I had some proper mentorship. That's mentorship deep and made understand this Frappe architecture very well, and which made me to build my professional journey also. And currently, I work as a software engineer in FOSS, and I am working on some tools, and I am working on some developer tools like Frappe Recorder. I just want to release that in a community app in next coming days. Yeah. The thing is, I just want to share how the rejections, like while I am in this journey, I faced a lot of rejections. Like when I was trying to contribute to the code bases, I raised more than 4 or 5 PRs. I raised a lot of people to assign those issues and work on it. It doesn't get merged, but whenever you work on any pull requests, whenever you work on those open source issues, you're gonna learn a lot of things. That was the rejections I got it. This is the learning rejections which I faced. And this was a pull request I have made in Frappe Help Desk. I made the task feature. I made it a pull request. And the thing is, you can also contribute while answering the issues. Like majority people, I also made one issue, and this I got a solution. And you can also raise a feature request, and they will assign those people if that feature request really worth enough. This is also a small contribution where you can grow in a community. And next is like somebody who gives a question, like sometimes in ERP Next there are some hidden features. So some functional consultants or some from another company people, they come and ask customizations. Instead of focusing on that, I also try to give some technical rollbacks and functional things where hidden in ERP Next, those problems can be solved. And I can also share how to contribute to Frappe framework. You can contribute using, you can go to the issues, any other framework, ERP Next, Frappe Helpdesk, anything else. Just look into it to good first issues and just try to give your solution and try to contribute there. Like if maintainer allows you, you can contribute. And this is also same, how to contribute. You can just come and raise a pull request and give your logic, and they will review your code. And if code is perfect, they will accept your pull request and it gets merged. And thank you. If you have any questions, I can.
I think that's a wrap.
Thank you.
Thank you,
Thank you.
Satvik. Next, we have Press Pilot, which is a mobile app for Frappe Cloud. Do we have Press Pilot? Yeah.
Excuse me.
Hello. हेलो गुड इवनिंग एवरीवन मेरे को एक ये बताओ यहाँ पे फ्रैपे क्लाउड कौन कौन यूज़ करता है आई थिंक सो अभी यहाँ पे जो है उसमें से मैक्सिमम सब यूज़ कर रहे हैं अब फ्रैपे क्लाउड पे जब आप कोई ऐप डेवलप करते हो या कुछ भी डेवलप करते हो तो डिप्लॉयमेंट के लिए आपको लैपटॉप चाहिए एनीवेयर और आप कभी ट्रैवल कर रहे हो कुछ आपके डेवलपर्स ने कुछ पुश किया होता है एंड यू नीड to deploy it for the clients and for yourself. So this is the issue we faced while we were going for an outing and all. We received a call from the client कि ये deploy हुआ कि नहीं हुआ या हमारे team member से हमको phone आया कि भाई developer ने push कर दिया है can you please deploy it for us. So this issue we faced. So what we did is something we built Press Pilot. So basically it's an app, mobile app for Android and iOS. Frappe Cloud on mobile. It's very easy. It's the same working, same screen what you have on your Frappe Cloud is on the app. You can easily deploy. You can run multiple accounts. You can run multiple sites on it. And even you can create multiple servers, bench, and sites from itself. It has a fleet dashboard, live deployments, push alerts. You will also receive multiple notifications on the app itself. The best part in this is we don't store anything. It's just by the Frappeverse APIs. You can just log in by your APIs from your account or username, ID, and passwords. That's it. It's not storing anything on the cloud. Anyone wants to download, use, you can just scan it and use it, give us the feedback, we can improve it, and it can help us, the community, to grow.
I guess that's
it.
Yeah, okay.
Thank you.
Next we have they are going to talk about document traceability.
My name is Yash Chaudhary. I'm here with my colleague to present Empower Visualizer, a traceability tool for both of the solutions where we need to trace a batch from its origin to its destination and also document life cycle. We work at Ambivers Technologies. Ambivers Technology is a Frappe partner focusing on Frappe and ERP Next solutions. Empower Visualizer is a product from Empower Business Suite which provides solutions to small and medium businesses. Batch traceability. Batch traceability, when a batch, we need to know a batch's whole life cycle from origin to destination. We have usually, it is a very hard process because we need to go through multiple documents, which is the exact thing we are going to simplify using batch traceability. When we talk about a batch failing, we already know what failed. What we don't know is how far the failed batch went through. So let's say a manufacturing, let's take an example. When a manufacturer basically sends back a defective products to the manufacturer, customer sends, we already know what failed. When that defect is, manufacturer knows about that defect, he has to answer many questions which are like which batch failed, which warehouses still hold the actual quantities of that batch, and which customers actually currently hold the stock for those. To find this answer, ERP Next already has all the answer in it, but to find this answer, we need to go through tens and hundreds of documents just to get that information, which gets very tedious when the scale grows. So when, let's say in our example, our manufacturer sent some products to Northern Electronics. Northern Electronics found the issues, but the other two customers never found the issues until they run into a massive other complaints from the customers from their side. Until then, they are unaware of the problem, and until we can approach them after tracing all the documents from ERP, the time is already lost and a lot of damage has already been caused. Which is what the problem we are solving currently. When we say a batch failed, we need to know its origin and its destination, which is where batch traceability comes in. Let's take our first example. We have one batch. We, in our Ampere visualizer, we just enter the batch number. We pick which direction we want to trace. It is either backward, which is basically where the raw material or where the origin was, or on the right side of the graph, we see where our batch is going to. So, for example, a destination, finished good, etc. We can also scope it around a date range. So only scope on those days, we can see the movement on that batch. On the edges, we can also see quantities for those batches. On the right side, on the left side of the graph, the whole origin is shown. And on the right side is basically where it went. So when we click on any batch, the whole graph is incremental. So all the nodes are not rendered at the same time. We can render basically knowing which branch, which batch we need to go through. The batch graph is created on a voucher and a batch relationship. Voucher holds what that batch basically moved the stock and other information. We can click on any voucher number and we can see the whole summed up version, and we can also see every single detailed transactions that it did. Is it done? Same defect, a different call. So currently we had an issue where we didn't know which customers did not get those, but now we know with just one click and seconds of tracing, we now know which customers actually don't have the right product, and we can notify them before any damage is caused. So
Yes, sales order might start small, but once other like after that, many other documents are uh, created after it. ERP Next has all the all the links of it, but to open the other links, we need to we need to open the uh, like we need to open the links on in other screens. So we have solved this issue by building a feature in this app in which we can open the links of one SO to from one single screen. So here we can see like one SO has other documents linked to it, and so when a customer asks us what is shipped or what is built and what is stuck, so we can give the answer of it from one screen, as we can get the answer of it from one screen.
I'll just give a quick recap of the document traceability. So, in a document process lifecycle, all the connections are already on the document. We just need a lot of time to go through each document and open and express them to create that understanding of what currently is available and what is delivered. We need to go through each document one by one. So this is where we combine all of those process documents and we create a single graph with it, where in just one graph we can see all the document life cycle. In just one graph, we have all the information. This information is basically where this sales order gets the sales invoice and other related documents. Instead of going through multiple other documents one by one manually, we get a whole trace around this going through to the delivery node. We now have answered the same questions we first asked, where we wanted to know which documents were currently, let's say, are not delivered. So at that point, we need to go through multiple documents just to figure out which documents have not been yet delivered. Instead of that, we can just see in one graph which documents have not been delivered yet. Thank you.
I think no questions here. Next, next we have tailoring business with Import LC.
Hello everyone. So we are surprised when Bangladesh most luxurious Sherwani brand approached us to automate their end-to-end operations. So here everything they make is custom. Every order comes with an enormous number of a small details uh, with fabrics also. And small details are like fabrics, the stones, the accessories, even the buttons, type, and the curve color, curve size. So, and all of this needs to be captured precisely. And the level of design detail they were handing to their manufacturing team and was far beyond what their old process could manage. So beyond tailored sherwanis, they also sell Punjabi, kurta, and saris, and carry ready stock items, which meant we also had to handle material consumption tracking for those lines. So we customized the entire styling and order workflow to make life simple for their production manager, covering the full process end to end. And my name is Khorshid Alam. So I lead this at Inventor Software Limited, and this is the project our team has been building. So here we can see the all core selections, like you can see the order sheet, and it's a central point. We connect the customer measurement and the customer information in a single place, the style, the entire design from the specific details, and precise the finalized orders straight to the manufacturing item. Once the product is completed, a barcode is generated, and they are used to attached to the finished product, and making it easier to identify and trace the products also. So another challenge is managing design reference actually. Since each order can include audio instruction and the design, what you can see, we actually linked a Google Drive, and user can easily can review, but our production team can easily review what they should to production. So including production team, anyone who can connect it with creation can check these files so easily, and they can easily develop it. So here we introduce the barcode canvas view, and as you know, Invento already has extensive experience on retail side. So we also brought these capabilities into this project. We also rolled out barcode printing for any item variant, and by selecting multiple item from the item list, and you can see the barcode is automatically generated, and you can save the template, fix the template for the printing level. You can resize the barcode each and every points, and you can select the item, maintain the item attribute also, and you can see the drag and drop all option we introduce. And based on that, no developer, we don't need to go the developer team and tell them to develop a custom barcode solution for my customer. So here is a text template. So you can, any kind of text you want to put in the barcode, like you can say hidden prices in the barcode label, you can add it on the barcode. So Now I will hand it over to my colleague, Mr. Aljoy, and he is a senior business analyst in Inventor Software Limited to walk you through the procurement side of the solution.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Khurshid. So when it's about the manufacturing company, like the manufacturing companies is one of the most and biggest manufacturing company. They work with a luxurious brand. So here comes the import LC. Okay, so in ERP Next, so they have everything like procurement and sales, currency conversions and everything, like landed cost. But when we come and face some requirement from the customers, we found that there's a lot of gaps in foreign procurements, like you can't manage pro forma invoice and other things. So everyone needs the documentation that manage and send to the bank and receive the bank. So we created those. This is called Import LC Management Module. In the left side in the presentation, you see we built pro forma invoice. After that, the LC insurance, import LC, LC margin, and commercial invoice, purchase received, and landed cost. One thing we must call, their landed cost is already exist in ERP Next, but from which document it should calculate. So we develop a little bit tweak there. So from which documents it might be connected with the landed cost, we develop this. So this is not only about import LC. So they must they must import or export everything they just produced. So we also create the export LC also. So everything is there, so you can try out. And thank you, everyone. Thank you. And I just want to call Mr. Sakib Bhai. He is from our development end. So yeah, Sakib Bhai.
Thank you, Ajay bhai. So, Khurshid bhai already mentioned that he didn't want to come to developers and for a barcode. So, what if there is a bug? And what if there is a feature improvement? So, we made something. It's called Frappe Copilot, which is developer, like a developer helping for BA team, helping hand for BA team, which can solve a bug, which can write server script, which can solve, create a client script, and document customizations, even the bench migrate, bench commands actually. It can do all of that. It can write code, it can read files, it can read your customizations, even the database level customizations you have in your system. So I gave a command like I asked it to add a percentage field in sales invoice. So it queries the database first, meta field. Then it found out that it has a list customizations in database. Then it added, it found already a field exists. Then it renamed the field in another name, then add it to the doc type. So it read the live site, not the repo, and found the customizations on or avoid the name clash and zero core edits and export it to the version control. Also, it checks its own code. If there is any syntax error, it will solve it according it and compile the file with Python compiler and Node compiler. Thank you everyone. Thank you for giving us opportunity to talk. And you can scan the QR code for the GitHub repos. Thank you.
I guess we don't have any more talks for the day. Thank you all for coming here. Thank you all for giving your talks. We can head down. We can head down to track 1 now.